My writing has been compared to Toni Morrison, Cormac McCarthy, William Faulkner. And if you know any of these authors, and if you know me, you will understand that this is the greatest compliment that maybe I could ever receive. This time, however, I think I'm writing like Stephen King. I am Alanna, and this is Racing Home, the podcast where I unpack the journey of writing the first book in a series about the end of the world. Welcome. Last week was abysmal in terms of writing. I am under the pressure of a lot of deadlines in my business and had to allow my own writing to take a back seat, which frustrates me. But also, I'm super excited about the projects I'm working on right now. So that's a strange tension, and I'm working through it. But like, I got 500 words done. And if you'll remember, I've reevaluated my goal to complete drafting all three books before I release the first book. I'm still not really settled in that decision, but it's where I'm sitting right now. So if you remember, that means I need to be writing like 500 plus words per day to reach my goal at the end of June. Maybe that's not happening. At least it didn't happen last week. This is just where we're at. One of the interesting things about the publishing industry is that anywhere that you submit your work, including if you were going to submit work to my press, to Chicken House Press, you're asked for comp titles. So the person exploring the possibility of working with you wants to know, who is your work comparable to? What are some hot titles currently on the market that you're comparable to, so that they can market towards that same audience? They want to know that your work is contemporary enough to catch current consumers. I totally understand that from a business perspective. And of course, it's why I'm asking for that. I'm also asking for it so that I know that my authors have some understanding of market and confidence in their work and in its spot within that vast loud space. But it's not really a deal breaker for me. But it is, I do like knowing what authors inspire others and who they maybe compare themselves to or feel like they're most influenced by, because that's a huge thing. If you are an avid reader, chances are your style, your voice is slightly influenced by that author that you're consuming in great quantity. And I certainly find that in my own writing. I am drawn to, if I'm reading for pleasure, I am drawn to deep, introspective, thoughtful, intelligent work. That being said, I also love a crazy romp.
A freak blizzard, heartbreak, and a journey of self-discovery, Brendan Connor's life is about to get a lot more interesting. When a surprise snowstorm throws him into a surreal reality, Brendan must navigate his way through unfamiliar territory and confront his deepest flaws. In this bold reimagining of The Wizard of Oz, embark on a wild ride through a world that Bound could have never imagined. Filled with crude humor, violence, and irreverent twists, Red Brick Road is a tribute to old technology and new ideas. But don't be fooled by the chaos. Beneath the madness lies a valuable lesson about being a good human in a broken world. Get ready for the most exhilarating read you've had in a long time. For fans of literary nonsense and those looking for a refreshing take on a beloved classic, Red Brick Road is a must-read. Officially launching on March 30th, 2024. Pre-order now for shipping on or before launch. Go to chickenhousepress.ca/bookstore to secure your copy.
I ate up the Bridget Jones's books with an embarrassing passion. I thought they were so funny. If you haven't heard me say this before, Anne Rice is my ride or die. Her understanding of language and her poetic approach to something as crazy as vampires, it's wild and beautiful, and all day long I just love it. So there are these online tools where you can copy and paste a piece of your writing into this text box, and the the robots will analyze your writing and compare you to an author. And I remember with The Church in the Wildwood, before I released it, or well, like in the editing process, I did this, and it spit back Anne Rice, and I was just over the moon. Not surprised, because I am deeply influenced by her style, but oh, I was so excited and just thrilled, and I thought, oh, this means I can make it. But as I said in that opening, my writing has been compared to other kind of deep thinkers, introspective. A little funny, if you've read any Faulkner, there's some real wit in there in the midst of some truly awful things. But yeah, Toni Morrison, Cormac McCarthy, wow. I will take that compliment all day long, and I'm going to ride it as long as I'm allowed. I'm going to use that. I'm going to quote those people because it gives me instant cred as an author. In 2023, I read so much Stephen King. I am a massive fan. Traditionally, he's not really the kind of writer that I would have been drawn to, though I do like dark stories. I like weirdness. Part of the Anne Rice fascination is that the dark side, the vampires, the werewolves, the monsters, the creatures. I really like that, but with her, you're also getting the poetry and the beauty and the eloquence and all of that. What Stephen King does, his world building just blows my mind. If you've read any of his epic stories, there's there's two camps, right? In some ways, the same story could be told in a much more condensed, concise version, but on the other side, there's so much richness, and like he builds a whole town and all these personalities, all these characters. It's just incredible, and so much respect for that, and how he's producing so much. He's so prolific. Oh, what a dream. As I'm working on world building and I'm considering all these characters and how much screen time do I actually give them, I am leaning on Stephen King for a lot of permission I need to dive into their lives, into their backstory, because obviously there's an audience for that kind of story. I was at one of my 12-hour intensives, and I was writing this really aggressive, ugly scene for a character that I hated him. And when I read it back, I immediately knew I like I'm channeling Stephen King. This ugly character somehow presented in a way that makes it really compelling, and yet you're going to be really happy when he dies, even though his death is really grotesque. But you'll have to wait for that. I was like, I'm writing Stephen King. And that was exciting for me. Now, I did copy that section and put it into one of those robot tester things. It did not spit back Stephen King. I don't even remember who it spit back, but it was like some old guy who wrote dark stuff, and that annoyed me because I was like, no, you're wrong. I'm smarter than the robots. I also have a cat who is a character that I think needs to be much more important than he is right now. But I've written him a few scenes from the perspective of the cat, which seems, it's weird. Like, this is a story about humans, but something about seeing the events unfold through the eyes of the cat I found really kind of compelling and interesting, and very Stephen King. If you haven't read Pet Sematary, if you read nothing else in 2024 and you're not like easily creeped out or scared, Pet Sematary might be my favorite book of his. I don't know. I have a few. he's a great storyteller. Anyways, there is a cat named Winston Churchill, who's such an important character, so well written. And I feel like after I'd read that book, my cat, who is named Edgar, after Edgar Allan Guest, who is a really kind of light, playful poet who leans into family values, very not cool, not Edgar Allan Poe, which was very intentional because of the juxtaposition of this cat who's loved facing the end of the world. It doesn't matter. So I have a cat who's playing a pretty important role. And I feel like that's very Stephen King-esque. I think Edgar is going to play a role in the entire series. And I'm interested to see how that plays out, because I don't actually know what that looks like, but I think he has to have a key role in some kind of big discovery, which I'm looking forward to. The most fun about writing is when the story reveals itself to me in the midst of it. I have no idea what's happening. I wonder if Stephen King knows. I like to think that he doesn't, that he's just as surprised. I do have a goal of going to his home in Maine. You can go and stand outside the gates, which have like gargoyles on them, of course. Like, it looks like a haunted house. I also want to go to New Orleans and see all the places that Anne Rice talks about in her books, like do a full vampire tour. I think that would be amazing. I am such a book nerd. So I know I'm promoting Pet Cemetery, but if you are a writer and you don't love the stories of Stephen King, let me promote one last thing. Read his book on writing, Stephen King on writing. It is profound. It is encouraging. It is a powerful little book that just shares his journey and his approach, his philosophy. This guy is like a blockbuster success. It's okay to take some of his advice. You don't have to listen to me at all. If this is the one thing, do this. I don't know if the book is still in print, but you can find used copies everywhere. Go do it right now, please. I think I even have a used copy for sale in the writing resource section of my online bookstore at chickenhousepress.ca. I'll make sure, if it's there, I'll put it in the show notes. First come, first serve. When you are passionate about something, it should pour out of you as easily as a conversation with a friend over a cup of tea. A passion isn't something you keep to yourself. It's something you share. And that is why I'm inviting your child to join with me to unlock the storyteller inside them with a curriculum I've developed to help them understand their unique writing voice and to explore the art of storytelling. It will be an interactive and encouraging workshop, so if you have a child who has ever shown interest in writing, if they've ever said, I want to be a writer when I grow up, this is a great tool to push them on their way, and I would love to be part of their journey. For the first time since 2019, I am running an in-person workshop at the West Grey Library, Durham branch, beginning on March 14th at 4:30 p.m. and running for 4 consecutive Thursdays. I'm also offering a virtual option for any of you who aren't in my local vicinity. That's going to happen in May. Everything you need to know about either of these options can be found by visiting chickenhousepress.ca. If you click on the workshop link in the top menu and find the children's workshop option, everything you need to know is there. Certainly reach out if you have questions. I can't wait to meet your child and help them connect with their imagination in a brand new way. So that's all. I think there is nothing new under the sun. We are all recycling inspiration that we get from everywhere. So I think it's okay to take pride in who you're compared to, knowing that no matter what, you're still bringing your unique approach, your unique voice, Yes, it can be comparable to something else, but there is no one else who can tell your story. Stephen King can't tell the story that I am writing. There's no way we could reproduce what the other is doing. That's not a fear or a concern. We are all born with this great gift of a unique view of the world, a unique perspective, philosophy, whatever you want to call it, and we pour that into our writing in such unique ways. And when we do it well, that's when we connect with readers. That's why I connect with Anne Rice. That's why I love books by Cormac McCarthy. That's why people have favorite authors, because it's connecting to a deeper part of us. And that's all that I'm trying to do. And I hope I do it well. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this, please share it with a writer friend. Make sure that you're following me on all the socials so you can keep up to date on everything I got going on. And I just appreciate your support and your time. I'm going to leave you with a little spoiler, a tiny little paragraph about the end of the world. A sinkhole on the north lawn opened up to receive the White House within moments of the first tremor. It took 7 minutes for the massive structure to completely disappear into the chasm it claimed to have fixed in 2018. It took the president 36 minutes to suffocate when the systems designed to keep the bunker habitable were crushed by the fallen building. The vice president had been in the bathroom at the time, and the extra walls kept her protected and alive for an extra 4 minutes. This was not a blessing. Chin up, Bright Eyes. We'll talk again next week. Racing Home. Racing Home is a Chicken House Press production. Theme music by Alex Grohl and Alanna Rusnak. If you would like to support my writing journey with a small financial donation, you may do so by visiting bio.site/Alanna Rusnak. That link is available in the show notes. You can make a donation of any size of your choosing, and it will go towards funding the production of this book. Writing takes a lot of time, a lot of energy. It requires a lot of coffee and chocolate. So if you want to help out, that's one way you can do it. Donations over $50 will be automatically signed up to receive a signed copy of When the Trees All Burn at least 1 week before official launch.
Typewriter, ring binder, scrapbook. Scrivener combines all the writing tools you need to craft your first draft. And you can take your writing with you wherever you go by syncing between your Mac, Windows, and iOS devices. With Scrivener, the page is yours, so get writing with a free trial download. Follow the link in the show notes and get started today.